What's up guys, the EP Ikelos weapons finally got an updated 2.0 version, and in today's video we will be breaking down the Ikelos shotgun and breaking down the best perks on it, the DPS of this weapon with all the different damage perks. And also we'll be breaking down a really crazy build with this gun, using a bunch of chargeable light, warmine sub mods, and things like that. So first starting off going over what the best perks are and what would be the god roll. In the left slot we have Feeding Frenzy, Lead from Gold, and also Threat Detector are the three main perks I would recommend. Threat Detector will be really good for reloading while near 3 or more enemies. Lead from Gold is really good for your ammo economy. Then also Feeding Frenzy is decent, it's not great. But then in the right slot we have Trench Barrel, Vorpal, and Surrounded, which I'm going to show off after I first talk about how to get this weapon. So the way of getting this weapon is from the Prophecy dungeon, and it only drops from the boss fight. And I already made a guide on how to do this dungeon quickly and efficiently, so you can go ahead and watch that video. But pretty much what you want to do is just sword the boss with Dark Drinker 2.0 as you see in this clip, and it's going to be a very easy one-phase kill. And you can only get this EP shotgun from the boss, so what you can do is either farm just the CP or the entire dungeon, either will work, and that is how you get this weapon. So now moving on to the DPS and damage perks on this weapon. So first, without any damage perks at all, we hit 11,231 with the EP shotgun on Greg. Now doing one magazine rate of fire, 7 shots, that takes 2.586 seconds, meaning DPS is 30,401, which actually isn't that bad for a 1 mag DPS with a shotgun. But now that we get to 2 magazines, there's gonna be 2 different ways of going about this. One is shooting off 1 magazine, then reloading all 7 shots at once, and shooting off the entire magazine once again. That took 8.226 seconds, but what you can also do is shoot the first magazine, then reload, cancel 1 shot at a time to get to the total 14 shots between the 2 magazines. And this option right here will be slightly quicker at 8.193 seconds, meaning DPS over 2 magazines falls all the way to 19,000, which is actually pretty bad for a special weapon. And overall, shotguns just really aren't that great once you have to start reloading them. This weapon also holds 26 bullets with no reserves, which means just under 300,000 total damage output. Now the first damage perk I want to look at is going to be Trench Barrel, which is going to be the OG perk on this weapon. And look at the damage on Greg, get a melee hit first to proc Trench Barrel, and now hits for 16,843. Which is going to be exactly that 50% damage increase that it's always been. And after the huge Trench Barrel nerf, it lasts for 5 seconds, or once you shoot 3 shots, the perk goes away. So looking at different rate of fire options for that, first with 1 magazine, so punch, 3 shots, punch, then 3 shots. DPS is pretty much the same as the first 1 mag with no damage perk at 30,000. Now we go ahead and look at it over 2 magazines, so punching 4 times and shooting 12 shots. It's going to take quite a while. At roughly 9.795 seconds, meaning DPS falls down to 22,600, which is a little bit better than the no damage perk 2 mag DPS, but still not great at all for a special weapon. The one thing Trench Barrel is good for is its total damage output, which is now all the way up to 480,000, which is actually pretty good for a special weapon. Now moving on to the next damage perk, which will be Vorpal Weapon. Usually I don't like Vorpal Weapon, but on a shotgun it actually kind of makes sense. As you see on Greg, it takes the damage up to 12,915, which is only going to be a 15% increase, but compared to all the other perks on shotguns, it actually is a viable perk. Over 1 magazine, that'll take the DPS to just under 35,000, which is the best so far. Then over 2 magazines, it's going to be very close to the Trench Barrel number at roughly 22,000, which still is not that great, but not too bad, I guess. And finally, the total damage output with Vorpal isn't as good as Trench Barrel at 335,000, but definitely better than no perks at all. Then the final damage perk I want to go over is going to be Surrounded with Surrounded Spec, which means you have to have 3 or more enemies nearby, and on Greg it hits 15,723. Which is going to be a 40% increase. It's not as high as Trench Barrel, but it is higher than Vorpal. So over 1 magazine, the DPS is the highest at 42.5 thousand. Then over 2 magazines, once again, it's going to be the highest at 26.8 thousand. But once again, you need 3 or more enemies nearby to make that work. Then finally, for the total damage output, it's going to be a little bit lower than Trench Barrel at roughly 408,000, which is pretty good for a special weapon. So overall, the surrounded DPS numbers are the best, but you need 3 or more enemies nearby, which won't be the easiest thing to pull off in most boss fights. So purely for boss DPS, I would recommend Vorpal for 1 magazine. And once you get to 2+ magazines, I would recommend Trench Barrel because it would be the best for sustained damage. But yeah, overall, shotgun DPS isn't that great right now, especially once you start reloading. But what you can do is pair it with Wither Horde or Anarchy, and based off my last video DPS numbers, Wither Horde will increase the DPS combos by 13,000, then Anarchy will increase them by 14,457, which means the Vorpal 1 mag will be just under 50,000 with the combo. Then with 2 mag with Trench Barrel, it's still going to be 37,000, which isn't great, but it's definitely better than it was before. So now that we're done talking about the best perks and the DPS of this weapon, now let's go over one of my craziest builds I came up with this season. and it's all gonna be based on the shotgun that we're talking about. And I'm gonna use surrounded with surrounded spec on this weapon because I'm not gonna really be using it for DPS. I'm actually gonna be using it for ad clear, as crazy as that seems. So the first mod we're gonna be using is global reach, because of the fact that all the EP weapons now create warmind cells also, just like Seraph weapons. So with global reach, we'll be able to get warmind cells the exact same way that we do with Seraph weapons. So every 5 to 7 red bars, every 4 majors, every 1 ultra, or even 1 acolyte eye works too. And since we're using a special shotgun for our main ad clear, we're gonna be using heavy handed, and the second part of this perk, while surrounded by multiple combatants, defeating a combatant with a fusion rifle, shotgun, sidearm, or SMG adds ammo to that weapon. And all you need to do to proc that second perk is have another arc mod equipped on that same armor piece. And now what that means is when we're surrounded by 3 or more enemies and get a kill with our shotgun, we get the ammo right back into our reserves, which means we pretty much have infinite ammo. And another thing you can do if you find yourself so run out of ammo is use a sidearm as your primary, and when you get kills with a sidearm, it also gives back ammo to your shotgun. The next mod we're going to be using is going to be quick charge. Once again, because we're using our shotgun for our main ad clear, we're going to become charge of light with rapid kills with shotguns or fusion rifles. And just like the previous mod, this mod has a second perk if you equip another arc mod in the same armor piece, which will increase the handling of shotguns. So now with this mod, every single time we get a double kill with our shotgun, we get charge of light ×1, then ×2 if we get another double kill. And what are we going to do with those stacks of charge of light? We're going to use font of light, which the mod says it does one thing, but if you watch my previous video, it pretty much turns you into a walking warmind cell. So now that we are using our EP shotgun to get charged with light by getting double kills and also getting ammo back every single time we get a kill, what will happen is once we're near 3 or more enemies and we take damage, it will do this burst of electricity, warmind cell like explosion that will kill everything nearby. And that is already crazy, but this is the really crazy part. This is where exotic comes into play. Crown of Tempest. Arc ability kills increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities and extends the duration of Storm Trance. But as you see, I'm actually on Voidwalker and Devour right now, which makes no sense. But what happens is once you're charged with light and get the Font of Light mod perk to work, it counts as arc ability kills and procs the Crown of Tempest buff, conduction times ×3, which means you're going to be getting all of your abilities back and your super back really quick. Doesn't even matter what subclass you're on. You can be on Void, you can be on Solar, or you can even be on Arc, and it works because of the fact that this mod counts as arc ability kills. So yeah, pretty much how this build works is you use your EP shotgun for ad clear, you have infinite ammo with heavy handed, you become charged with light on double kills, you can also create warmind cells, which are huge nuclear explosions every single time you shoot them. And when you're charged with light and get near 3 or more enemies and take damage, you do that crazy Font of Light explosion near you, which counts as arc ability kills, which procs your helmet perk, which gives you all of your abilities back very quickly and also your super. And you're going to be near 3 or more enemies very often with this build because of the fact that you're using a shotgun as your main ad clear, and you're just kind of going in the middle of battle at all times. With this build, you can still use Dark Drinker 2.0 for your main DPS. You could also put on Wither Horde and use that to combo with your Dark Drinker 2.0, then also combo for ad clear with your EP shotgun, because of the fact that you have pretty much infinite ammo in your shotgun, so you can afford to use 2 specials. Also, if you're using Voidwalker and Devour, you can still use Oppressive Darkness for your grenades, and you'll still be getting your grenades back very quickly with the Crown of Tempest buff. So yeah, overall this build is extremely strong. You're pretty much using a shotgun for your ad clear, which is crazy. You pretty much one-shot everything in the game. Then when you get up to majors and ultras, you know, your accurate weapon still shreds them because it's a shotgun. You create warmind cells that explode everything in the room. You are constantly charged with light, which will mean you have warmind cells inside of you ready to explode when you get near 3 or more enemies. And every single time one of those explosions happen, you get Crown of Tempest buff, which means you get all of your abilities and your super back even quicker. So yeah, this build is very crazy. Obviously, I like doing it with Devour so I can play super aggressive and not die. And yeah, this build's all about just getting in people's faces and just destroying everything. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this build. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.